Good Morning Frederick is sponsored by We Help You Move. Whether you're moving across the street or across the country, Nicholas and his team of moving experts can make the moving process easy. We Help You Move is veteran owned and a supporter of the Frederick community. You can find more information at wehelpyoumove.com. Well, looks like Chris just popped right in. So let's go ahead and get started with Chris Michaels from WFMD's Morning News Express. Well, good morning, my friend.
Good morning. I guess you can call me like a piece of toast. I just pop right up out of nowhere, right? How are you?
At least you didn't set off the smoke detectors like my toaster sometimes does.
Well, I got to tell you, I was told I am pretty hot and on fire, so I sometimes do. I do that. I don't want to brag or nothing, but
I love
so
it.
Bob's still under the weather with his sore throat. We do miss him, but you know what? I have him on the morning, so that's the most.
That's right. That's right. You do have him. We'll wait until he gets well, obviously. And there's a lot of people fighting a lot of stuff right now. So everybody
There
needs to
is.
stay healthy and do whatever they can, get plenty of rest, all that stuff.
So, I know Good Morning Frederick, it's a great local show. We talk about local things, but every so often, we like to bring up what me and Bob talk about on the Morning News Express on
Yeah.
WFMD. And on a serious note, the most of the show today, we had Jeff Manasso from Fox News Radio reported on the latest on that horrible shooting, school shooting over in Wisconsin. And it's a topic, if you don't mind, before we get to news, I'd like to get to because as a father with two daughters in the school systems, it's scary. And I'd like your opinion on things. And what was shocking to me was this school shooting happened to be in a private school, which normally school shooting sad no matter where it happens, but it seems to normally happen in public school systems. And this particular private school, like most private schools I know here in Frederick County, they don't have law enforcement school resource officers in these schools because again they are private schools. Um, that might be something that maybe schools, municipalities might want to think about. Maybe possibly having school resource officers in these private schools. My daughter went to a private school, but I mean, it would cost. How would we go about doing that? It costs so much money. There's so many private schools. Do we have enough law enforcement officers in the area? So it's just a topic that we were talking about today.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the cynic in me right now is saying we have taught people who are not well mentally that the best place to go to do what they want to do without being impeded is an unarmed school,
Hmm.
right? They're not walking into banks where there are armed guards. They're not walking into, for the most part, other areas where law enforcement is available. And I don't think we don't need to stretch our law enforcement more thin than they are now. I do know there are tons of private companies and even veterans. I think this country is smart. We could easily put together a private public partnership with people who are trained to maybe it's former law enforcement officers, former veterans, whatever it is. I just know that there is an answer out there, and if we don't start teaching people that they're not going to get far if they go to one of our schools, then it's just going to continue to happen. And it's unfortunate. It really is. But until we stop it and deter it, um, it is going to keep happening because unfortunately they know that they can get in there and they have at least several minutes, if not longer, as we've seen in some cases, to wreak havoc and be destructive. And I'm sorry that these people are pushed to do these sorts of things. And I do think we have a whole mental health
Absolutely.
conversation that needs to happen. But in the meantime, I don't want our children as sitting ducks in an unarmed facility. I just don't. And I don't see any reason why we would balk at that.
Well, unfortunately, we talk about school resource officers. There has been shootings where unfortunately children have died with school resource officers on campus. You take a look what happened. I think it was in Texas last shooting or two shootings ago. I think there was a school resource officer in the schools who took a lot of flack for that shooting. I don't remember exactly where in Texas, but I know I remember that happened. But also too, it kind of brings up about number one. I agree with you 110%, Danny, about the mental health crisis in this country. I could not agree with you more. And that brings up a whole other topic that me and Bob discussed. But one thing I wanted to ask you was metal detectors. Take a look at inner cities, okay? A lot of these inner cities, and I can't believe I never thought I'd be alive to talk about this, but take a look at a lot of these inner cities, Danny. A lot of New York, Chicago, they have metal detectors in their schools. You don't hear of school shootings in those schools. You hear most of these school shootings out in the suburbs, the country, places like that where metal detectors aren't prevalent. Is that
Well,
something
again,
that we
look,
need to do?
it's like everything else. Is it going to stop these things 100%? No. No, it's not.
Right.
But with a school resource officer or some form of law enforcement or
Right.
someone armed on the grounds, the potential to do massive destruction is now limited because you've got somebody who can put into action a lot of the things that it takes other law enforcement who are off campus
Mhm.
minutes to at best minutes to get to. And so, yeah, look, are things still going to happen? Maybe. But if we're deterring 8 out of 10,
Mhm.
that's way better than 0 out of 10.
Absolutely.
And I would, as a parent, I would prefer that, that 80% rather than 0. And
Absolutely.
while we're doing that, then we need to fix or help the men, people who have these mental health issues and see if we can go there. But that's a long fix. And I don't want to risk any more lives than we have to. And I just think, hey, put these things in place. Metal detectors, sure, perhaps. I mean, is that going to stop at 100%? No, but it might again. A limit. If anything we can do to eliminate more people getting injured, I'm all for it.
Well, the bottom line is something else has to be done because nothing's working now, as we can tell, as we can say. And I'll get into news in a second. But again, I just think it's a topic is so important to talk about with all the viewers that you have and people around Frederick who have
Yeah,
kids.
I mean, look, and I get it. Look, it's it keeps happening, and car accidents keep happening. People still drive drunk. We're never ever going to solve 100% of the issues we have as a culture just because people are people, and they're going to do what they want to do, whether or not we put in and this is the one thing every time something like this happens, they're calling for more gun restrictions, they're calling for more bans, they're calling for more of this and that. And and that to me is not the answer either, because it's there bad people are going to do bad things no matter. And I prefer to allow our law abiding citizens to be able to protect themselves should they want to do that. They have the right, and I would rather give them that right. So, I think let's look at other options. I think, eliminating these options 100%, not having that discussion, because that tends to be what happens. It's all or nothing. And I think we ought to look at how can we start to find ways to protect our citizens and especially our vulnerable children. I think we ought to look at those
I, I
solutions.
agree. Now, the only thing I would say to that is, and this is strictly my opinion. When we were growing up, we didn't have these school shootings. When I was going to school, it didn't happen. It really started to happen in the first one was Columbine in 98. I shouldn't say they didn't happen. I'm sure they happened, but they didn't happen as much as they're happening now. And strictly my opinion, and I've said this to Bob and I said this on air, I think it's an issue with social media. Sorry to say it. I think that's an issue. I think kids are going on social media. Things are being planted in their brains. My oldest daughter, Adriana, is 13 years old. Okay. Does not have a social media account, no Facebook. She will not have a social media account until she's 18. She doesn't want social media. Why does she not want social media? Because, me and my wife, we're always in her life. What do I mean by that? Well, the weekends we take her places, we go places, no place expensive. We go to things that are free, farms and stuff like that. It's hard to keep your kids off of social media, but if you try your best and not have them addicted to social media, I really, truly in my heart think that could help the issue. Again, just my opinion. I might be wrong.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think where social media negatively impacts children is more in the sense of the mental health crisis, right?
Hmm.
Because then you've got a lot of issues with kids feeling inferior and insecure and the bullying and all of that stuff that goes on. So, 100%. Now, will that did that stuff go on before social media when we were kids? It absolutely
Hmm.
did. It just didn't go on a massive scale.
Hmm.
You didn't have one person who was able to impact thousands or tens of thousands of people like it happens now with the access to social media. So 100%, if I had to do it again, I would have restricted, especially my daughter, uh, more tightly than we did, even with cell phones and smartphones and all of that. I would have waited. Now that I'm older and they're older, and I see what can happen. But again, I think what you're doing, I think, is the more impactful part of why your daughter is going to be great is because you're involved in her life, period. So even if she had social media today, the fact that you do things as a family, you're part of her life, you're involved, um that in and of itself would have a bigger impact than the kids who utilize tablets and phones and media um to babysit themselves, right? And so to keep themselves occupied. So by keeping your kids occupied, talking to them, being a part of their lives, you will have a greater chance to know if something is going on. Is it still 100%? No, because kids do stuff and there are parents who are, again, dumbfounded. Like
Right.
it just comes out of left field. So we can't protect people 100% of the time, but I'd love to make sure we're higher than zero.
Absolutely. And that goes back to what we were talking about the Chris Kringle parade, obviously off air, about how you involve your kids, always have involved your kids in the different promotions you've done throughout the career, including they came with us at the Chris Kringle parade. Again, it keeps them off social media. You're doing things together as a family. You don't have to spend $1 million to do things as a family. It's as simple as, hey, kids, join me and your father, as we do this for work or we go there, and that keeps them off social media. So kudos to you, which is why your kids turned out the way they did, even though they had social media. You actually spent time with them. And getting the news real quick, because I know you've probably got a million things going on today. It doesn't get any better, unfortunately. The news: the Carroll County Sheriff's Office continues its investigation into a double shooting last Friday, which left one man dead and the second person injured. But the name of the deceased has been released. He is Benjamin Billings, 33, who had an Owings Mills address. The other man is a 42-year-old from Finksburg who was transported to an area hospital. And just a FYI, Frederick County Government's office, and I'm sure everybody knows this, will be closed for Christmas. Frederick County Government will be closed Tuesday, December 24th, and Wednesday, December 25th for the Christmas holiday. County offices and services will return to regularly scheduled hours Thursday, December 26th. And if you're looking to give a good gift for the holidays, how about the gift of blood? What am I talking about? Well, the American Red Cross is always in need of all blood types. The American Red Cross is in need of blood donations as the holiday celebrations continue in December. The American Red Cross strongly encourages donors to keep the blood supply at the top of your mind. There's a lot of people out there who need blood and they need your help. So it's a good thing to do for the Christmas holidays. And taking a look at the weather, it is currently 48. Supposed to get to a high of 61 today, Danny. Not bad, right, for December?
Wow. Yeah, that would be nice. It looks kind of yucky out there, but we'll see what
I
happens.
I always say in the wintertime, I should always have the right to bear arms. So there we go. I don't have to wear long sleeve shirts. Gonna get down to a low of 32 tonight, clear skies, and taking a look at tomorrow, which is hump day, right? Don't they call Wednesday hump day? I always feel weird saying hump day. I don't know. It sounds dirty to me. I don't know why. Then again, I'm really immature. So tomorrow, hump day. It's gonna be a high of 49. Showers early, becoming a steady rain later in the day. And then tomorrow night, rain early, decreasing clouds late, and we're looking at a low of 35. And
All right.
no sports, Danny. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I knew I was just going to cut you off. I wasn't even going to say anything. I was just going to let you go, but
I
you
threw
had to
myself
just
under the
bring it up.
bus. Yes,
All right. We will see you a little bit later. And please make sure Bob knows we hope he feels better.
absolutely. We'll do, Danny. Take care. Have a great day. And as Bob would say, good morning, Frederick.